Hello, my name is Matt and this is Pixel Burn, where I take a look at some of the more important, interesting or even irritating things to have happened in gaming news this week, which is quite a fair old bit as it happens. So much so in fact that you could be forgiven for thinking yet another unremarkable E3 had already been and gone. E3 isn't until next week of course, but that hasn't stopped some publishers from announcing their games early to try and beat the hype rush. And I don't just mean tiny little things that would understandably get lost in the AAA morass of E3 either. Some of these announcements are pretty hefty, like the announcement for Mortal Kombat 10, 10, because you can't say without using this sound clip from that song used on the movie soundtrack. It's literally the law. The announcement came with a pretty pre-rendered trailer which is all cinematic and no gameplay, though there are some moments where it almost looks like it could be gameplay if you squint hard enough and pretend the HUD is turned off. While it's safe to assume some of the gameplay staples on show here, like X-ray moves and fatalities, will make it into the full game, things like Sub-Zero using a frozen tree branch as a weapon are probably just for show, or to look, cinematic. Which still hasn't stopped some people writing terrible clickbait articles making wild claims that environmental weapons will totally be in the game, because we all know a cinematic trailer is totally 100% representative of gameplay, right? There's no official word yet on what platforms it will be coming to, although a leaked Amazon page indicates it will be a cross-gen release, coming to Xbox 360, Xbox One, PS3, PS4 and PC. So don't expect it to look anywhere near as good as that trailer. Not that you need to be told that, although apparently some people do. Crytek have also jumped the E3 starters pistol with not one but two announcements, the first being for a new IP called Hunt, Horrors of the Gilded Age, a 4-player co-op third-person action game set in the 1800s. It's being developed by Crytek US, formed from the remains of Darksiders developers Vigil Games after THQ went tits up, and reportedly features procedurally generated environments and character customization, amongst other things of course. And that's pretty much all anyone knows until Crytek shows off some more of it at E3 next week, although you can now sign up for the closed PC beta, which will be taking place later this year. That's it really. It's hard to be sarcastic about something you know bugger all about. Crytek's other big announcement was Homefront 2, aka Homefront the Revolution, aka wait, people still care about the Homefront franchise? Apparently so, enough to try and squeeze some more money out of it at least. Although at first glance Homefront 2 seems a bit more than just a cynical cash-in, surprisingly. Unlike the first game's linear progression of average missions strung together by a story so ridiculous I'd need a space elevator to suspend my disbelief, the sequel is taking a Far Cry-esque open world approach. Also strung together by a story so ridiculous I'd need a space elevator to suspend my disbelief. The Far Cry-esque open world in question is a chunk of Philadelphia, city of brotherly love, 4 years after the events of the first game, in which North Korea somehow amassed an empire and invaded the United States. Yes, apparently in the space of 10 years North Korea was able to go from barely being able to feed its own population to having a massive army, drones, space-age tanks and giant fucking airships of all things. I guess it just goes to show that austerity economics works, in the wondrous realm of fiction anyway. Nevertheless, Homefront the Revolution could be a decent title. It's being developed by Crytek UK, formerly known as Free Radical, who are perhaps best known for the much-loved Time Splitters series, although they did also make Haze, which was a bit pants. Still, there is a precedent in gaming for sequels that are better than their predecessors, like Assassin's Creed 2 for example, or Mass Effect 2, so you never know, it might be good. Ridiculous story aside, like an increasing number of games, Homefront Viva Pinata La Revolucion is due out in 2015 for Xbox One, PS4 and PC. We can expect to hear more about it from E3 next week. Another announcement this week was Forza Horizon 2, coming to Xbox One and Xbox 360 this autumn for people who really like cars. More interesting to me was the announcement from Capcom that Dead Rising 3 is coming to the PC this summer via Steam. A Steam database entry for the game was spotted earlier in the week, but now it's been made all official with this trailer, which does a far better job conveying the cheerful, anarchic spirit of the Dead Rising series than the initial Xbox One trailers did. Unlike, say, The Walking Dead, Dead Rising has never been about stuff like pondering your own mortality in a world gone to ruin, where people are the real monsters and everyone spends their time staring down at their navels all miserable. No, it's about putting on your prettiest dress and your silliest helmet and wading into a horde of zombies with a buzzsaw at the end of a stick. Which I'm sure you'll agree is a damn sight cheerier than knifing someone over a tin of beans. Or shooting your loved ones. According to the announcement, Capcom are putting a decent amount of effort into the PC version with support for widescreen monitors, upgraded textures and Steam achievements among other things. It'll also have controller support because it's always nice to have a choice in such things. In fact, you'll even be able to play it with an Xbox One controller since Microsoft this week finally got off their asses and released PC drivers for it. According to Microsoft's Chief Propaganda Officer Major Nelson, any PC games that support a 360 controller will now also support Xbox One controllers, which is particularly good news for me as I've wanted to get one for quite some time now, partly because I'm sick of my old 360 one. I've tried both the Xbox One and the PS4 controllers and, well, I have to say, I prefer the Xbox One. Sorry PS4 fans. Don't get me wrong though, I mean, the DualShock 4 is a big improvement over previous Sony controllers. It just doesn't feel as nice in my hands as the Xbox One's does. And it certainly doesn't feel like groping a girl's breast in the backseat of a car either, as Polygon's Ben Kuchera once described it. Other announcements this week include a new Harvest Moon game for 3DS and Dynasty Warriors 8 Empires for PS3 and PS4 only, which kind of leaves me wondering if there's really any point to E3 anymore, for gamers at least, if all developers start announcing their games the week before. But then E3 was never intended for gamers to begin with. It was and still is first and foremost an industry event for industry people, a place for coders, PR people, suits, games journos and the like to get together, show off their stuff and share some drinks at a rooftop bar. The majority of gamers only ever experience E3 indirectly, like Victorian orphans huddled around a toy maker's shop window. Nowadays, of course, the window is a screen and the toys are all streamed over the internet directly into our eyeballs. The basic idea is the same. We're all a bunch of scruffy urchins peering in, gulping at the sheer bloody spectacle of it all, I suppose. I'm sure there'll be some surprises at E3. At least I bloody hope so. I'll have nothing for next week's video otherwise. Although at the rate things are going right now, their surprises will probably be more bloody delays, the latest of which is Batman Arkham Knight from Rocksteady. Originally scheduled for release towards the end of this year, Warner Bros announced this week that the game now won't be out until 2015 at the earliest. 2014, ladies and gentlemen. The year of 2015. Warner Bros also put out a trailer showing off some more of the new Batmobile, which might soften the blow for some of you. To me it just feels like outright shameless teasing. Ooh, look at this pretty thing, isn't it pretty and lovely? Do you want it? Do you want the pretty shiny? You want it, don't you? Ooh, yes, you want the pretty shiny. Well, tough! You can't bloody have it yet, come back next year. You know, someone needs to develop some kind of mathematical formula that we can run publisher release dates through to get a proper one out. Because these surprise delays are becoming a right royal pain in the arse. So far, for games delayed until 2015, we have Quantum Break, The Division, Mad Max, Dying Light, The Order 1886, The Witcher 3 and now Batman Arkham Knight. And not forgetting of course the news that Dragon Age Inquisition has been delayed again and now won't be out until... Nah, I'm just kidding about Dragon Age Inquisition. That's still coming out this year. So they say. Anything can happen between now and October. While game delays are frustrating, however, there is something to be said for developers taking more time to hone their games. Too many games nowadays are released unfinished or with day one patches to install. And if these delays make these games worth the wait, then we can't really complain too much. Particularly when they look as fantastic as The Witcher 3, a new trailer for which was released this week. And by fuck is it good. So good in fact, I'm going to watch it again. Baby, that was amazing. Again! The Witcher 3 is due out on the 24th of February 2015 for Xbox One, PS4 and PC. Sod knows what I'm going to fill my time with until then. Might as well just sleep between now and February. Or I could play Xenonauts from Goldhawk Interactive, a spiritual successor to the original XCOM, available now for digital download on PC and Mac. I've been following its progress for a good few years now and it's great to see it finally get a full release. If you're one of those stupidly picky people who thought Firaxis' own XCOM reboot was not strategic enough, or you want something closer to the original XCOM, then Xenonauts might be just what you're looking for. Meanwhile, if you like your platformers both masochistic and retro, then you may want to pick up 1001 Spikes. Now available on PC, Mac, PS4, Xbox One, PS Vita, 3DS eShop and Wii U from Nicalis, developers of Cave Story Plus and the forthcoming Binding of Isaac Rebirth. And then there's the trilogy of DLC announced this week for Dark Souls 2. The first instalment, Crown of the Sunken King, will be released in July with parts 2 and 3, Crown of the Old Iron King and Crown of the Ivory King respectively, due sometime after. I don't know when exactly, From Software haven't confirmed it yet. So yeah, despite all the fuss over E3 and all the games delayed until next year, there's still plenty to keep us occupied in the meantime. Assuming we aren't all wiped out tomorrow by an asteroid hurled at us by a cold, indifferent universe. That's all for this episode of Pixel Burn. If you liked it, please do let me know, and let your friends, family and local health inspector know as well. At the very least, I hope you found it tolerable. If you didn't like it, however, then I'm afraid I must ask you to delay your comments until 2015 at the earliest. In the meantime, you can go now.